All right, welcome in the NBA tip-off show here, powered by WagerTalk.com. 6 games in the association here tonight. Lot to get you caught up with if you're just taking a look at the board here, as some big names on the injury report already been ruled out. We got a bunch of line moves here that we'll see if it makes a difference one way or the other. We'll break a few games with a couple of best bets down with, well, two of the best here at WagerTalk.com as we welcome back in double R1L, Steve Merrill in the house, as well as the pen, Ralph Michaels, here to talk a little NBA here, as, of course, a lot of eyeballs on college hoops here, but let's not forget about the association here, and I actually like some of these games here tonight. We're going to start with the contrarian gods, who have also looked at a game that they appear to like, and maybe not necessarily agreeing with the 7.5 that the Milwaukee Bucks are laying here tonight. In fact, they're looking to back the 76ers here tonight. Still no Embiid. We all know that. But I do think they might score 80 points tonight, which is a step in the right direction. But what are you thinking here, Merrill? Contrarian God saying Philadelphia might have some value getting over a touchdown.
Yeah, Joe, it's nice to be back. It's kind of like a better version of the college basketball show. Ralph, you and me. I forget who's missing. I'm not sure. I'll leave that to you to say, because I know that's
important.
In your contract.
Not important.
BP Brian Power, very important, folks. Don't let them misguide you there. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there.
They took my face. Like they put it's Joe's face.
Yeah,
Brian Power looks Amish. He looks very Amish in that picture. Disturbing. We get royalties because that was originally Will Ferrell on the top, Joe. So you owe me some money.
That's correct.
That's my likeness, not yours. Yeah, back-to-back New York Knicks games. You know, if you were to look at the database, I'm sure Ralph's database blew a fuse when they saw the Knicks back-to-back Knicks games, 79 points each time, like he said. The difference, of course, was they gave up 73 and then gave up 106. We talked about that on Tuesday's show. You know, the zigzag. Marco actually said the zigzag's the only way he would play that. And the Knicks won easy. I mentioned the Knicks as well, but it did stay under again because this Philadelphia offense, to say it is challenged would be an understatement. I mean, back-to-back 79-point games, but what I'd like to look at is the shooting percentage. They have now shot 39.5% or worse in 4 straight games, and they've done so in 5 of their last, actually 6 of their last 9. And that's basically almost back to the All-Star break. So this is an ice-cold Philadelphia team. I get it's contrarian for a reason. The problem is Milwaukee is coming home off a 4-game road trip, which isn't a great spot. But the fact that they lost 3 of the 4 on the road, coming off a bad loss against Sacramento when they lost by 35, I don't like to fade. I don't know if they're a Class A team. They're Class A-ish, 42-24 this year against an ice-cold offense. I don't like asking bad teams to do something good. I feel like that's what we're doing with Philly here. So a lean towards Milwaukee. I will technically fade the contrarian gods, but not a game that's going to make my card.
Well, Ralph, it would seem like if there was ever a defense that you might be able to get back on track against offensively, it might be Milwaukee here. Like Steve said, not a great spot coming off of the West Coast trip here, the first game at home. Is 7.5 worth taking a shot at in your book?
Well, Steve said some of those exact same numbers that I was going to. And while I hate to buck the contrarian gods, there's no way in the world I would actually bet Philadelphia in this game. Steve mentioned those back-to-back 79-point games. So, guys, you know I went to the database. Since 2017, the 2017 season, Philadelphia is only the 3rd team to score 80 points or less in back-to-back games. It was the 2017 Grizzlies against the Bucks, and it was the 2019 Detroit Pistons against the Lakers, the only other 2 teams that failed to top 80 in 2 straight games. You know, I'm going to say this. Interesting quote. And, you know, I wish these coaches, Joe, would tell us these quotes before. This is Doc Rivers' quote. We returned home from a California road trip and went 1-3 after the loss to the Kings. This quote, it was my fault. I didn't get them prepared the way I should have mentally, Rivers said. In shoot around, guys were talking about the planes and leaving. and what they're going to do with their families the next day. It was a long day. So, it just goes to show you. And that is a reason when you have a team, and, Steve said they may be an A minus, a B team. And with Middleton, they might be an elite team. They're second best team with Middleton, in the East behind Boston in my mind. So when I have a team like that, that's off a poor performance like that, with a coach that has talked about that, mentally spoke publicly about it, I'm likely not going to fade that team. But you look at the Bucks; they're only 8-16 as a home favorite of -5 or higher. But I'm going to throw out some totals plays here. I know it's the contrarian gods, but Philadelphia against winning teams, their last 9 games, 9 straight unders, and they've gone under by 22.5 points per game. When you go under the total 9 straight and those games go under by 20 points per game, that shows you just how wrong the Vegas totals are. And also the Bucks. The Bucks are 2-1 over under their last 3 games, but they're still 3-16-1 over under since January 29th. And you look at who they faced. They face Sacramento, Golden State, the Lakers, and the Clippers. 4 teams that can move the ball and have powerful offenses. So I lean under. And again, Philly is so bad. There's only one way I can go. I have no interest in backing the Bucks. But if you made me pick a side with this line, it would have to be with the Bucks, with Doc Rivers stepping out and taking the blame.
Yeah, it's the under's never a bad look in this kind of spot here. But the 76ers, this was 8.5. Down to 7.5. So, hell, somebody got to be betting the Sixers, believing they might be able to turn it around here tonight. And that game, I believe, is the 8 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock Eastern time tip-off with the Sixers and the Bucks. But all eyes are going to be on our featured matchup here tonight. Of course, again, only 6 games in the association tonight. But a good one here with the Phoenix Suns taking on the Boston Celtics here, hovering around that 5.5 mark. Total has started to creep down to 28.5, starting to see 225s, 226s in the marketplace here. I believe finally a clean bill of health there for the Phoenix Suns in this matchup here tonight, except for Eric Gordon, the only questionable, and of course, Jaylen Brown still listed as questionable here, and we know Porzingis is out. When you put it all together here, it seems to be an awful lot of people running to the window, Merrill, to back Phoenix in this one and take the points. Are you in that camp here?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it opened at 4.5 at some spots, like briefly, but really the true opener was probably 5. And Teddy Covers is big on this. You click that openers tab at the top of the WagerTalk free live odds screen, you can see that it opened 5.5 even in many spots. So there really hasn't been that much of a move in this game overall. And that's often the case with these injury uncertainties. And as you said, Joe, Jaylen Brown is questionable with a left hip contusion. And these teams just played a couple nights ago, about, 5 nights ago on the 9th last Saturday. And it was a win for Boston, but Devin Booker did not play in that game. So you got to put a huge old asterisk next to that one. For that 117-107 win by the Celtics. They actually closed at about a 5-point road favorite in that game, and now they're only a 5.5 point home favorite. So obviously Booker being out was a big difference there. Still, Boston did not play good defense. They actually got outshot 49% to 51% from the field. Bounced back against the hapless Trailblazers. I did a free play video here on WagerTalk TV on Monday for that game, and I said I thought that would be the focus spot for Boston. Both Brown and Tatum were questionable on Monday. The line went from 7.5 up to 12. They both played. They had over 50 points combined. And then we thought that game on Tuesday would be the letdown spot for Boston. It was the contrarian play on the show, Utah. And I'll give Marco credit. He was the only one that faded the contrarian god. And he was right. Celtics won by 16. Now they return home, though, off the 5-game road trip. They have another road game at Washington on Sunday. It's just a 1-game homestand. I don't know if that's necessarily a great spot for him. Ralph actually ran some numbers on that for me earlier this season. And superior teams do pretty well. But once again, if Brown doesn't go, I'm not sure we can call Boston the superior team. And I do like the quick revenge motive for Phoenix here at full strength. So I do think Phoenix is probably a live dog here at +5, 5.5.
Yeah, it's what are you thinking, Ralph? I don't know that I'd be running to the window to try to fade Boston at home. They have done a pretty good job of dismantling teams on their own home court here. It's an interesting spot. Is it one that you're in agreement with, that maybe the Phoenix is showing value here at this point at 5.5?
Well, how long are we going to wait for the Phoenix Suns to become the team that they thought they would be when they made these acquisitions? You look now, they're 1-6 ATS their last 7 games. And yes, it seems someone's hurt. And yes, the big three haven't played together, but I can't back them until they prove to me they could do something. They did shoot 50% in 3 straight games, but that was home against Toronto as a 10-point favorite. They did actually outshoot Boston in the loss. They shot 50.6%. Boston shot 48.9%. And then they played a very depleted Cleveland squad. So you can't put too much into the Cleveland win that they shot 55%. Steve had mentioned quick turnaround. I will give you this. I went to the database as he mentioned that. And if the two NBA teams play within 7 days, a non-playoff game, and the first game goes under, and this total is lower than the previous total, well, guess what? Those games have gone under 57.7%. And that's with over 220 games of sample size since 2015. So that is a long-term league-wide system that has been very successful. Again, that is, if 2 NBA teams play each other within a 7-day period, the first game went under the total, and the total of this game is less than the last total. 90 overs, 123 unders. I look at Phoenix and looking at them at my power ratings, and I keep having to bump my power rating numbers down on them because they just haven't performed well. And you look at Boston. Boston's off the 5-game trip. They lost those first 2 games, but then they've reeled off 3 straight wins, winning by 16 points per game and covering by over 9 points per game. Steve, I pulled up a system, and you mentioned that Boston came home from the road trip. They're home for a game, and then they go on the road again. One big difference is Phoenix has to play tomorrow. Boston doesn't play for 3 days. So when you have a home favorite of -2.5 or higher, and their opponent's playing the next game, and they don't play for at least 3 more days, those teams are 58.54%. So to me, to explain what I think the system means is this. If you're a team and you're an away dog of 2.5 or more and you're playing the next night, if it's into the 4th quarter and you don't have a chance to make a shot, you probably are going to throw in the towel and worry about having a winnable game tomorrow. I think they go to Charlotte, so a very winnable game. So perhaps a live betting situation for me. If Phoenix is close and you're seeing some value, perhaps they pull it out. If Boston happens to pull away, it's a situation where I would look to play Boston in that role. So again, a slight lean to the Celtics for me. My power rating numbers actually lean the Suns, but until they prove to me they've been there and done that, I just cannot back them.
Yeah, it feels like this is a classic, if it ain't broke, don't friggin' fix it here with these Celtics, who are just absolutely mauling people here. 14-2 over the last 16 for Boston. They didn't even need, I believe, Jaylen Brown for 1 or 2 of those, or Porzingis, in fact, when they throttled the Jazz the other night. And you mentioned it, Ralph. Suns 1-6 against the number in their last 7, 2-5 against the number in their last 7 on the road. I'm with you. And when, Phoenix, and when are we supposed to buy into the fact that you're supposed to be this great team? It's a lot of minutes for one Kevin Durant recently. He is shouldering a lot of this load. He'll have some help tonight, but ultimately, does it really matter when you're playing the Celtics at home here? All right, so we got a featured matchup. We also have, of course, we talked about the contrarian gods looking at the Sixers. It's time to take a look at some dogs here tonight. Just 6 games, 6 dogs. Robert, let's check out what we're looking at here tonight.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
All right, let's see what we're rolling with here. Sixers, we talked about. Suns there. How about the Bulls getting 6 after a miraculous overtime win last night? The Blazers, could they win 2 in a row, plus 10.5? Dallas also in an impossible spot, as are the possible to bet the Wizards here, Merrill. So what are you thinking here? We know Doncic, by the way, let those know. I mean, Doncic is out. He was ruled out earlier against OKC. So there's that. There are some questions with the Blazers. And the Bulls, like we said, just an awful spot last night. I mean, coming to second of a back-to-back on what felt like an eternity, that game against Indiana. So where do you look on the board for a dog here tonight?
Yeah, first of all, full disclosure, I am passing time in the NBA. I'm going to give a free over-under for the best bet on the show here in a moment. So I don't really necessarily love any of the dogs on the board here. I do have 3 strong college basketball best bets still available, all in the nighttime card, including a late night $5 special tonight on Thursday in college hoops. But we'll go down the board here. As you mentioned, some of the games we haven't touched on yet. Doncic is ruled out. Line's gone from 6.5 to 11. On the surface, if you just blindly play these adjusted lines with the dog, you probably made money the last few years. So I would lean towards Dallas just for that reason. It's the contrarian call. As we started the show, the Portland injury report was not out. It just came out at 4:30 Eastern. Brogdon's ruled out. Grant's out. A lot of other guys out as well. Summons is questionable, and that's the big concern there, obviously. But that line, if you check the WagerTalk live odds screen, you'll see that is steaming. It's gone from 10.5 up to 11.5 since we started this show 15 minutes ago. The Knicks taking some money. So injury concerns in the 2 late games. The Bulls as a dog. Clippers coming off a loss, even though Harden's questionable. A lot of other guys. Kawhi's questionable. We talked about Philly, not touching Philly. That's an underdog, ugly dog. And then, of course, the Wizards, could they maybe cover? Yeah, but Houston has gone, I think, 8-1 ATS their last 9, 7-2 straight up, and they beat up on weaker teams. So that really only leaves one dog for me, and it's one I just talked about earlier, and that's the Phoenix Suns plus the 5.5. Never in a hurry to fade a 29-3 straight up home team, Boston, in a short price range. But we do have that quick revenge angle working. They didn't have Booker on Saturday when they lost. If you take out the 3-point shooting, Phoenix actually outscored Boston from 2-point range and was even at the free throw line. So I think they're a live dog tonight. Celtics are maybe the best team in the NBA, and I do think Brown probably goes. Keep in mind, he played Portland, sat out the no rest at Utah. I think he'll probably be in the lineup even though he's questionable. So I would maybe wait. That line could go up to 6 or 6.5 if he's ruled in. But I think Phoenix is really the only live dog on the board out of those 6 ugly games.
All right, Phoenix is the lean there for Merrill. How about you, Ralph? Any one of these absolutely disgusting dogs appeal to you tonight?
Joe, I have a question for you. And since I hung out with Rob yesterday and we had fun, I guess I could bust his balls a little bit.
Sure.
Was Rob supposed to be the third person today, but because every dog was 4.5 or higher, he wanted no part of being on the show because there was no 1-point dogs?
Correct, because there was no pick'ems on the board today. He was he opted not to feel well and not show up, Ralph. Correct. Vino.
How about this, Joe? I can honestly say I did not go check this, but I can honestly say I don't think I've used Portland all year long. And how about if I use a first half dog at Portland plus the 6.5? Now, when you look at the Knicks are 29th in first half ATS numbers. They have gotten off the horrible starts. And yes, they held Philadelphia to 79 points in back-to-back games. But again, that's because the Philadelphia offense, not because they're the 1983 Detroit Pistons on defense. The Trailblazers actually 4-4 straight up the last 8 games, going 6-2 ATS. So while you may say, well, 4-4 is not great, when you're a Portland Trailblazer fan and you went 15-42 the first 57 games, going 4-4 looks damn good. The Knicks only 4-12 ATS since February 13th, and they're only 1-5 against the spread as a favorite of -3 or more with totals under 220. So I'm going to go a little sneaky here, take Portland to keep the game close or perhaps have that first half lead, grab that 6.5, sprinkle a little bit on the money line, and we'll see if the Trailblazers can stick around with the Knicks early in the game.
All right, love that. There you go here, guys. See, there is some ugliness on the card here tonight. Doesn't mean Can't find a couple of spots here to bet. And of course, even with just 6 games, we're still going to have a couple of best bets here for you today. And we're going to start, of course, with 60 seconds on the clock. And double R1L, you mentioned you passed here today in the NBA, but that doesn't mean you don't have something available on a $5 customer appreciation day. So tell us about it.
Yeah, we got a strong lineup in college hoops. 3 best bets on the nighttime card, including one of the late night games, which is the $5 customer appreciation special. Can also make all 3 best bets part of your March Madness special for just $149. That works out to just $5 a day. That's like $1.50 a play. So no matter what you choose, don't miss out on a strong 3-pack tonight, including the $5 special. Thursday night, late night action, college hoops, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Oh, by the way, free ESPN late night game also on my page right now in college hoops. Let's look at a free play in the NBA tonight. Just 6 games on the board. I am passing, but I was taking a look at the under in the Clippers-Bulls game, and it's gone from 215 down to 214. A lot of injuries for both sides. Tons of guys questionable for Chicago. Kawhi and Harden questionable for the Clippers. Westbrook out. But I look for defense from the Clippers here. They're coming off a loss, focus spot. In Chicago, not a good offensive team. I think this will be a low-scoring game and a focus spot for both squads. We'll take under 214 between the Bulls and Clippers.
Oh, boom. Looking to go up and under, or actually, no, it's going under.
Down
yes,
and
it
under.
is. Yeah, down and under, damn it. Ralph Michaels, the pen in the house here. All right, 6 games on the board here, Ralph. It is $5 customer appreciation. So in the 60 seconds, lay out a best bet. Tell us what you got rolling tonight.
I have a strong card today. I have 3 college basketball plays and 1 NBA, 1 NHL. I'm going to give you my NBA best bet right now. $5 for any package, any $5 package at WagerTalk and at Sports Memo. So if you haven't tried out, guys, or you want to try out a new capper or 2, this is a great day to do it. I'm going to go to Houston. And Robert, it seems like I always go against Houston when I'm on the show with you, but I'm actually backing your Rockets today against Washington. You know, you look at Washington and they won 2 of their last 3 games, but one was against the favorite against Charlotte. And remember, prior to that, they had lost 16 straight games. From February 14th to March 6th, the Wizards allowed 50+% shooting in 8 of those 9 games. And while you say, look, the last 3 games, they've only held those foes to 45%. Those teams are last, second last, and 4th last in scoring. Rockets 11-1 straight up, 10-2 ATS is a favorite of -4 more. They've taken care of business, winning 8 of 10 against losing teams. The Rockets do get it done tonight.
Oh, getting the Rockets here tonight. Actually, it's been a hell of a day for Houston all the way around here. As we've got the Cougars here just absolutely taking apart TCU. Texas Southern also, Robert, getting it done in college hoops for you. And, of course, the icing on the cake will be the Rockets getting it done here a little bit later tonight. And, of course, that's exactly where Ralph is looking to get it done. All right, guys, 6 games on the card. Wasn't not a huge card here tonight, but a couple of spots, and certainly a lot of folks taping an eye on that Boston and Phoenix game. Should be a good time. And, of course, we'll be back again tomorrow for another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. A lot of college hoops this week, a lot of NBA action heading into the weekend. Certainly hope you'll come back and join us again tomorrow. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, make plans to come back and join us. And, of course, by hitting subscribe, you'll get notified every time we do have a new piece of content coming your way. And if you really want to dive into some of the big games coming up in the next day or so, just click on that video on your screen right now and get access to all the big game previews we have across all the sports. Until tomorrow, best of luck with all your plays. We'll see you again then.